And welcome to Insider Share. This has been a lot of fun doing this particular program. I'm glad you could join us. And for the people out in Facebook Live, welcome. I won't be able to respond to your comments because I don't see them. But if you want to pop over to the website, you can actually join us in the flow. Today, I have got Dr. Bonnie Sullivan, PhD. And she's in from the Family Psychologist Place here in Calgary. She works mostly with women. She's got two young kids who are amazing. And you can tell by her smile, she is a sweet, adorable person who's got so much empathy and skills to work with her clients. And she's going to share that today with us on confidence building. Hello, Bonnie.
Hello, Mark.
Glad you could make it.
Thank you.
So last week, we sort of touched on a few things that sort of helps with the code of people, but it's starting to move out of that line a little bit. So we thought we'd talk today about just confidence in general and also relating to the COVID thing. Some people are coming out of that a little bit battered by what's going to happen with their jobs. Their relationships could be beat up a little bit or stressed, and just general being in lockdown. And so we're going to turn to you for some advice on confidence. That's one of the things that we do, of course, in our photography is build confidence up through that. So I'm looking for your tips and tricks.
So there's a lot of different things that we look at for building confidence, but really the core of it is, who are you as a person?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you really have a good handle on who you are, then it's much harder for people to shake you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, have you ever, you've ever had someone say, oh, you're so this, that, or the other, and it didn't even faze you? Even if it's very harshly said in a very aggressive sort of way, it doesn't faze you. Why? Because you absolutely know without a doubt that it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not coming from anything about you, because you're solid in who you are, because you know who you are. When we get shaken by that, when we get people telling us, well, you're this or you're that, or, you know, you're too this or you're too that, what shakes us is our own challenges that we have with how we see ourselves. So if I have a question about that, about myself, then I can be shaken if I'm not sure. Or if I agree with the person on some level that you're right, I am terrible about that, and I don't feel okay with that, I haven't accepted that part of who I am, then I'm going to respond poorly, and it's not going to feel good. So this is one of the things that we look at. This is probably the thing that I like to go to when we talk about confidence. So this is part of why your work is so effective, because when you are working with women, you're bringing out who they are. You're helping them see who they actually are through the visuals and through the physical and through the experience of the shoot, of how they're moving and how they're doing things, right? Like part of that work that you do brings out who someone actually is, and who we are at our core is never someone we dislike. Who we really are at our core is usually like, it's about our values.
Yeah.
I have never met anybody who didn't like their own values. What we don't like about ourselves, what we feel bad about, is when we aren't in line with our values, or when we somehow deny our values. So when you come in and you're in a place like your studio, which is warm and comforting and welcoming,
right,
and you're not showing any judgment, you're just showing pure appreciation for someone as they are and watching who they are kind of unfold in an appreciative, welcoming, comforting kind of environment, then it's easier for people to really accept and recognize and see that, oh, this is who I really am, and it's beautiful and I love it.
You see a lot of that. Now, some of the people would probably, I think it goes back a bit to people not be able to accept gratitude. So if someone spots something in you that's positive and you say, oh my gosh, you're my role model. You take on challenges so well, you have so much energy. And we're kind of conditioned for people to say, no, it's, you know, I'm not, or that's, you know, they deflect it in some fashion. Is that damaging to your confidence?
So actually, when you do that, that's actually usually an indicator of confidence. And it can be incredibly uncomfortable. I remember doing that. I remember that process myself.
Right.
When I first started learning to accept compliments, because it's not just an automatic, oh, no, I'm not. No, I don't have, right? It's also oftentimes it's a believing like, I'm not that great. I can't possibly be that great. And the thing is that we all have within us greatness. We do. And when we don't compare or judge, when my greatness doesn't mean that I'm better than someone else because of my greatness, if I'm not trying to compare that and I'm just acknowledging this is what's great about me, when someone compliments me, it becomes a little easier for me to say thank you. And it startles people sometimes when I just say thank you.
Yeah, because they're not accustomed to it. We're really not used to receiving or giving congratulations or gratitude for just how amazing a person is. And it's interesting that most people tend to see it as a better than you thing when it's not. It's just an acknowledgement of where you're at personally.
And at the depth of who you are totally unique.
Yes.
And at the core part of who you are, you may have some similar qualities. Maybe you're very intelligent, and so is Bill Gates, right? We're both very intelligent, but in completely different ways. My intelligence is unique to me. His intelligence is unique to him. And so I can say, thank you for thinking I'm intelligent. And I appreciate that. And I feel like I'm intelligent enough, right? That's what I'm still working on. It's part of being blind. Because the society, but this is actually what we're talking about, right? This is a societal view. Because I'm naturally blonde and have obviously always been, there's been a societal assumption about what that means by looking at me. And, when you're younger, you take these things on, and as you get older and build confidence, you can begin to realize just because the society thinks that hair color has something to do with intelligence doesn't mean that that's true.
That's exactly so.
Yeah.
So how do people start shifting their confidence level? Is it a hard process? Is there a few things they can kind of start working with?
So I like to start at the surface and work my way in. So I think core is what we're talking about. But the core can be a little hard to access for people. They don't know, like, how do I get to that? How do I figure out what that is? So I like to start at the beginning. And so I did actually send you kind of a worksheet for an exercise I do. I call it the body love exercise. I'm just going to show.
Perfect. I'll get that put up for people who have access to it. Okay.
So this is my body love exercise. That's just the picture of the worksheet. But the idea of the body love exercise is, how many of us what do you see when you look in the mirror? What's the first thing your eye goes to? Is it something you love about how you look?
I always enjoy my smile. So I look at the mirror. I tend to laugh at myself because I find so much humor in myself, and just the way I stumble through life in general, I guess. And so I've always liked my smile. So when it comes out, I like that. So
is that the first thing you see when you look in the mirror?
Yeah.
See, okay, ladies, listen and learn. Many of us, and not just women, a lot of men too, when we look in the mirror, our eye goes directly to that thing we like the least about ourselves, that part that we are self-conscious of. And so what the body love exercise is about, the first thing we do is we actually just make a list, and you go from the things that are your favorite part of your body. So you would start with your smile.
Yeah.
And you start with a favorite part of your body, and then you work your way down. Okay, second favorite. Now, some people, unfortunately, and this is very unfortunate, and I do have a lot of clients who, I don't like anything in my body. So we go with the least disliked.
Yes.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
The thing that you maybe find something redeemable in. And every time you look in the mirror, you focus your attention in on that. Now, because yours is a smile, I would use a small mirror, especially for people who have a really hard time focusing their attention there when there's a distraction of something else they don't like.
Right.
So a smaller mirror can be helpful for that. And just enjoy your smile. What do you love about your smile? And you were saying, you gave us a good example of this. What are the things that you like? I like that my smile is engaging and friendly, and it pulls people in, and it's comforting, and right? So we're looking for these things. If you can't find those things, then fine, go for the physical. Go for my teeth are straight. I have all my teeth. My smile is wide and that kind of thing. But we prefer the things that are about you, that tell us about who you are, because that's kind of the way in to that deeper.
Would it help if a person's feeling uncertain about what their good feature is, if they talk to a person who loves them and loves them and says, okay, so on my face, what makes you smile? Like, what makes you like, what section here do you like? Is that useful at all?
Unfortunately, no. Because this is the thing is, what do they people say? So I'm going to have people ask yourself, if someone says you have a really beautiful smile and you don't think so, what happens? We have this kind of like, and it just bounces off.
Right.
It doesn't go in. So it's got to be coming from you.
Okay, that is good.
And that's okay, because I've had people who say there's nothing I really like about my body. And I'll start with something like hands. So if you don't like the way your hands look, that's okay. But think about all the things that your hands do for you all day long, every day. Your hands
are busy.
Do everything.
Yeah.
They allow you to do all the things you want to do. They actually feel. There are a lot of nerves in your fingers. So they feel things. They feel the world. They experience the world. Your hands hold your children. Yeah. Your hands create food and meals for your loved ones. Your hands can do so much. So I'll go there when people really have a hard time with their, like how it looks, which is okay, because we're not actually going for how we look anyway. That's really not as important here. What's important is what it tells us about internally. What you like about your smile is who you are, really. It's how it expresses who you are. That's what you like about your smile. Well, guess what? Our entire bodies can be an expression of who we are, but we just need to kind of begin to see that. And so you go with wherever you can. But when it's about like something that you really appreciate about it, it doesn't have to be what it looks like.
That's true. I can see that.
Yeah, because think about, like, I think about your photos. When I look at a photo of, one of the women that you've done a shoot with and those beautiful photos, it's less about what she looks like in terms of like making her look like a model. You're not trying to make her look like some superstar model. It's more about who she is coming out in it. You get a character, you get a personality coming out here. You get like, who is this person? What's sort of something that makes them unique? And those are the gems that we're looking for here.
They are.
And this is just one way to do it. Now, one of the things with the body love exercise that I do is that we go from the least hated or the most popular, your favorite part of your body, down to the one that is your trouble spot. Right? So we start with the ones that are easy. Right. Always go for easy first. We want to be successful. So go for the easy ones first. And then when you start to feel like, okay, I've kind of got this is okay, then go for the hard one. Now, for a lot of people, it's the tummy. Not everybody, but for a lot of people, it's our tummy. One of the things, I had a client once who I did this exercise with, and she got to the point where she actually said, I was really able to massage my tummy and kind of enjoy the feeling of massaging my tummy. And I said, that's what we're looking for, because now you're appreciating the softness of it and how nice it is. Right? So we want to get into those feelings. And a tummy makes it soft and cuddly. And children love it when we have tummies. Right?
Yes,
so
I can see that.
So that's kind of, but that tummy and that softness is also about your nurturing. How are you as a nurturer? How good are you at nurturing? Right? Like, what does it mean to you? What does the tummy represent to you? Because that takes us down deeper back into the core of who we are, which is where true confidence is going to live. It's not going to be in what people say. And you actually said, well, what if somebody tells us that? Somebody I'm going to actually tell a little bit of a story. So okay. I always thought, okay, I'm a pretty good therapist. Everybody says I'm good. All my supervisors, and in the world of psychology, most of the time, well, the supervisors are psychologists too. So how do they get feedback? They give you positive, 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 and then they give you what you need to work on.
Right.
Not weak. They don't say it's a weakness or you're bad at this, right? They say you need to work on this, but you're great at all these other things, right? Like this is how psychologists work. And so supervisors obviously are doing the same thing with their students. So I went through and I'm thinking, okay, I'm pretty good, but it was all based on other people's opinions. And then I had a workplace where I worked with somebody who was not a psychologist, had been trained in a different profession, but was the person running the clinic. And this person was a bully, was awful, just awful. It was the worst place I've ever worked. And through the course, and was tearing me down all the time, telling me I was a terrible therapist and all these things. And because that confidence had actually come from other people and wasn't coming from my own experience of what I knew myself to be, she was able to shake it. And I started to question if I should even be a psychologist. I started looking at other jobs I could do, except that I really can't do anything else anywhere near as well as I do psychology.
I know the feeling.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, what else could I do? Well, I mean, I could do that, but I'm not great at it. Right?
No. Yeah. I had an epiphany at one point where I was, we'd had a really bad month. This is early in my career. And I remember coming it was on 76th Avenue there. And I'm thinking, I got to bring income. And I thought, this has to work. I can't do anything else. There's just no other possibility. That stuck with me for a long time, and I stayed with it and I grew and it's kind of become very powerful and successful. But I remember that point where I was like, this is just not flying.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, for anything to get me to that point where I was questioning, it had to be pretty intense, right? Because I've never questioned it. I was 15 when I decided I wanted to be a psychologist, and I never questioned it. And then here I come, and I think I was 40 at the time. 41 or 42, something like that, somewhere in my early 40s. And I had this big question come up. Now, but here's the benefit of it. See, this is the thing. Like anytime we have something what seems like really awful happen to us, there's almost opportunity. This was the opportunity because I had been standing on this really shaky foundation of confidence about my work, which has always been my biggest area of confidence.
Right.
And so what I had to do is I had to go to my own experience. Well, what have I experienced with my clients? I have been in the room with my clients.
Right.
I have seen them grow. I have seen them change. I have heard them give me feedback about what their experience is. And I began to go with what my own knowledge is. My knowledge, not here, but here, my experience of what it is. And that was when I started to get truly confident, because I am not the only psychologist in the world. I'm not the best psychologist for everybody in the world, but I am a really good psychologist, and I'm really good at what I do. And the clients that I work well with, I work very well with. But I don't expect myself to be the best for everyone. But that's true confidence coming from my experience now. It's coming from what I know that nobody can tell me otherwise, because I've experienced it. So it's not about what other people think anymore, right? So this is what we're looking for. We're looking for that experience, and you want to create those experiences. And so with the body love exercise, what you're doing is you're creating the experience through your senses. This is the beauty of the photography, because you've got the sense stuff going on, sensory modality of visual, but it ties in, and people have a reaction to that, right?
One of the powerful things we notice, and even before I had digital film, I used to spend like $1,000 a month on Polaroids, because I felt the clients had to see how good they're looking. So if I'm taking the photograph, I'm saying, you're looking good, this is great. It's like you're saying, it doesn't, they're sort of like, well, you have to say that because I'm paying you money. But when I take a photograph and say, here you are, aren't you beautiful? And they have to admit to themselves, yes, I am. That stuff becomes internal. So I hadn't quite realized the power of that until we were talking right now. But when we shifted to the digital, we even had one girl was so cute, because she was a heavy girl, and she really had a negative. That was why she was in our studio, was that she wanted to embrace her body. And so she looks at this photograph of her, and she's going, so this is a cool process you got. So what you've done is you found someone who looks like me but is better, and then put those photographs of their body in the camera. We take my photograph, we put my head on their body. I go, yeah, that's what we do. We're that advanced. And I happened to find a girl who would wear the lingerie that no, this is you. And then after 3 or 4 shots, she's going like, I look really, really good. But it's them acknowledge it. And you can see their posture change as they're at their core, they're saying, I look good. I can see that I look good. And what they have to admit to themselves becomes more powerful. And so that's what I see in the arc of my sessions.
And this is the thing, like we never actually see our own faces, right?
That's right.
All we can see is through a mirror, or, you know, in this case, I'm seeing my face on a video, but it's flat and it's not actually accurate. And you are the one that told me about this, about mirrors, and pointed out that it flattens the plane. You're not getting an accurate representation. But how we really do see each other, and this is the complicating factor. I'm twisting it back. I just said you need to actually experience who you are from your internal, from yourself, from what you know. And now I'm going to say, but you got to listen to other people too. Because the fact of the matter is, especially when we're talking about how we actually come across and how we express, other people mirror that for us. So that's what you do. You act as a mirror that is more accurate than the flat glass panel that we're looking at when we look at the one in our bedroom or bathroom. And so what you're doing is you're helping somebody reflect and see what they're coming across with, and seeing how they are shown to other people. Because here's the other thing. So here's the challenge with it. Like, we want to look in, we want to feel our own experience, we want to know who we are that way, but who we are is always interacting with other people. And a lot of our own qualities we have a tendency to take for granted because we don't have anything to compare it to. Oh, well, this is actually when I was younger, I actually thought I was stupid in high school because I believed all the blonde jokes, but also because I hung out with the 5 smartest kids in the school. And so I thought I was really dumb because I didn't understand science and math the way that they did. And I didn't have anything else to compare to. I just assumed that everybody actually had the same insights and the same ability to think about things that I did. I figured that that was just normal. Right? I had nothing to compare it to until I went to university and people started asking me for help because they couldn't figure it out. I went, that's weird. I thought that was obvious. But we need other people to show us those things sometimes. And that's what you're doing. You're actually saying, look at this. This is you. This is what you look. This is how you come across. And not just what you look like physically, but this is who you are peeking out through this physical representation.
Yeah, that's true, because in the course of the photo shoot, we're trying to show what they look like confident. So as I change the lighting so it's dramatic, we want to show how they look sensually, how they look soft. And so we show these successful slivers of the personality, and they're confronted with them looking sensual, them looking sexy. We had a girl who just booked her photo session yesterday, and she's recently unlocked in her brain that she'd had some sexual abuse when she was really young. And that has shaped her body, which looks just great from the Zoom thing we did. But she's here because she wants to have a perspective change. And that's what we take her through. And so they get to peek honestly at themselves. The subconscious takes it, and the subconscious goes, well, that's a pretty confident lady. That's me that's pretty confident. I must be confident. It kind of works that cycle through. And it adds focus. We had one girl we photographed, and it was interesting. We came back and they said, right after the photo shoot, I think this goes back to when a person does a deep dive on their confidence point. She suddenly got very focused and was very confident. Things started to happen. And then some time drifted back, and she started to lose that because she started to stop focusing onto it. But I think once you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but once you get comfortable with yourself, when you find those core things and say, well, I'm good at this, then your focus starts to become more comfortable. Like you're not distracted by the noise. And you can say, well, here's what I do well, and here's who I am, and here's how I show up. Is that correct?
The brain naturally will actually look for things to evidence that will fit our beliefs. So if we believe that we're ugly, if we believe that we're stupid, we will find all of the evidence that shows that I hung out with the smartest people in the school so that I could feel stupid about myself. like, but that's what we do. We look for the evidence that fits our beliefs. This is like, we are not naturally scientific beings, right? We do look for that. So when you turn it around, when you show someone themselves as a confident, as a powerful human being, as a powerful woman, with all of her femininity being a strength and being powerful and being beautiful and being sensual, like all those wonderful things that make us women. When you show her that, now all of a sudden she's actually, her focus is shifting. Now she can see all the evidence that fits that.
Yeah, I can see
now she can see that.
Yeah, the confidence is such a core thing. I had an instructor from Strategic Coach, and his belief was that if you start to feel your confidence being shaken by what's happening in the business world, relationship, whatever, his recommendation was to pull back into a safe zone so you can start building your confidence back up again, rather than try to kind of go in the world damaged. You sit back and try to find those spaces that you go, okay, I feel comfortable here. Okay, I'm back to my zone. I can step back out. And his preference was interesting because he said, when you're confident and you're moving along and you hit a problem, when you're confident, it's just a small bump in the road, it's a molehill, and you just stride over and keep on going. When your confidence has been shaken, that thing now becomes a mountain, like it just stops you in your tracks. And it's the same, nothing's changed. It's the same problem issue, but if you're confident, you step over top of it and move through it. If you're not, it really holds you, even though the object itself is not, either one of those things. It's just something in front of your path. So the confidence. Right. So once a person starts doing that, and we'll have that list that people can kind of access and download, how well other things can they work with to reinforce that particular approach?
So what we're doing here with this, that's the physical. That's going in through the physical. The next thing we want to do is we want to go in through more your psychological. So what are your values? What do you believe in? What's important to you? In any given situation, you make choices. You make thousands of choices every day. Why do you make one choice over the other? When we come up with a situation, so for example, that person in the grocery store glares at me because I'm not wearing a mask, for example. Right. That's one thing I've heard people say. Do I choose to glare back and be rude? That's one option. Right. Or do I choose to smile kindly and step back and give them more space? Right? Like, how do I choose to do that? Well, for me, kindness is a value. It's a very important part of who I am. And so for me, when I smile kindly and step back and give them space so that they maybe feel a little more comfortable, that to me feels better. That's building my confidence in who I am because I have that value. I know that that's a value of mine. It's a very important value of mine. Should I choose to do the other, it may be because I value more like standing up for myself, that I deserve to actually have a voice. Maybe I'm going to say something, right? So for somebody who has a different value, they may actually need to say something in that situation in order to feel more confident and better about themselves, because that value. But you've got to be able to, it helps if we know what our values are. When we ask what values are, almost always the number one is family. Great, your family is a high value. What do you mean by that? Who's your family? Like, and what does it mean, like, you choose your family first, right? Like, what does that mean in terms of your actions? So what we want to do is we want to take those values and recognize what they are. Some of us actually are pretty clear. Usually older people have figured it out by now, like, these are my values, this is so important. Sometimes younger people haven't figured it out yet. Not always. There are some very wise young people that I've worked with. But sometimes they're actually a little better at it than some of the older people with that. But it's personal. It's unique. Everybody's different. But once you have a clear picture about what your values are, then it's acting on them throughout your day, every day. What is my value here? What is my value there? And right now, we can practice an awful lot with our loved ones, with our families, with our partners, because we're in the homes. I think people are still in their homes quite a bit, right? It's not like we're out there spending so much time out and about anymore yet. But so your loved ones are a really good chance, because they are very good at coming up with circumstances that test you, right?
They are indeed. There are. But
So that was the next.
I was reading from Seth Godin. He's sort of like a New Age philosopher to some degree, and he was showing how we'll talk about things like, say, loyalty and the law, or honesty, or one of those types of things. And they kind of, at first glance, there are two things you could say, yeah, I believe in those two things. He says, well, if you're loyal and to somebody and they do something wrong, and you also have a belief in the law, now there's a problem, because you have to decide. And I don't think there's really a wrong or right. It's a personal value. Like someone says, okay, well, no matter what you've done, family's first, so we will always protect family. And the guy says, I love you, your family, but the law is the law. I got to turn you in.
Yeah.
And those are both very challenging positions to have when you're faced with the hard choice.
And those conflicting values, though, when we have those situations that are trickier, your values conflict like that, it is about like looking which one's a little higher. And it may be just in this particular instance, this one's a little bit higher, but in other instances, the other one actually is a little higher. So it's not an easy thing. Like, it's really easy for me to put these in words and to say this. It really is. It's easy for me to say, yeah, and this is how you do it. Done.
Yeah.
Not so easy to do. And that's what you're pointing out there, is that there are times when we have conflicting values. And really kind of, this is where I go back to the body. I actually find the body is really helpful for this sort of thing. Because what you want to do is you want to imagine in your head, okay, so if I make the choice of turning my family member in for what they've done, how does my body respond to that? If I make the choice of not turning my family member in and supporting them and trying to find another way for them to not do these things, how does my body feel about that? And your body will usually tell you. It's like the twisting and turning of the gut. If you're thinking about something that doesn't fit a value, your gut will twist, you'll get some tension, you'll have trouble with breath, something like that. Your body will indicate for you that is not actually the choice that fits your value system.
So people who become, I guess that's what the mirror process done, the more in tune you are with your body, the easier you'll be able to navigate through your confidence issues, because you'll be able to feel what feels right. And once you're aligned with what feels right, going forward is much easier, because you can sense, I'm doing the right thing. This is what I was meant to do. This is what's right. And even though sometimes these choices, the doing the right thing is often a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
But if you're confident that you can do this hard thing because it's your core, then it's easy to, I think, move through. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, it just makes it a little bit easier, and at least you feel it's the right thing to do. It really, and when it's the right thing to do, it gives us that extra boost, so that mountain actually looks more like a molehill and we can get over it. And I think one of the things that I do want to also point out is that I have a tendency to go into the body and the physical experience of it, but it also could be an image. For some people, they're more visual up here. So It could be you think your way through it and you picture it. You picture, what would that look like, and where would that take me, or what would that look, and where would that take me, to kind of help, right? Like, it's not thinking your way through it, it's visualizing it.
Yeah.
And visualization can tell you, because if it goes into this catastrophic end, chances are that's not actually your value system, right? Or if this goes to this end where you end up in a situation where you're doing things now that feel really awful for you, like if the law is really important for you and you don't do anything with your family member there, or say anything, maybe in your mind, the image would take you to the fact now you're living a life of crime, right? Like, it's just kind of like, we're talking about how you work. And we want to look at what your mind is doing. We want to look at how you're feeling emotionally. Your emotion can tell you too, as you picture your way through it, how do you feel emotionally? Do you feel guilt? Do you feel love? What are you feeling? Do you feel satisfied? Right?
Yeah.
What is it you're feeling? That will tell you as well. So I look at those things. I also look at the bigger picture and the impact on the community.
Mm-hmm.
If for people who really, that's where they connect, that can be helpful too. But yeah, so those are the things I look at: the community, the mind, the heart, the body.
Right. And get things into life. So once people have got that, do they become very powerful? Like, do they sense that? Like you going into something, you think, okay, well, this feels good intellectually. This makes sense. Like my brain can give an argument, can go for it. Is that when you're in that zone, when you can really step to anything? Is that sort of a chemical change or a sensation change, posture change?
Well, yeah, when everything's aligned, when you know who you are, you're confident in who you are, you've learned,
Mm-hmm.
you've proven to yourself
Yeah.
that you will take action that fits your values, that you are the person you want to be. That confidence shows up. People react to it. People respond to it. You know, and you can kind of tell when you've gotten that, when people respond to it and you say, thank you, and it doesn't go any further than that. It's not this, yep, I'm so great, like, because that generally tends to be kind of an inflated, and it's not based on solid confidence, real confidence. But you're also not going, yeah, right, okay, that's not me, I can't do that, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of like, thank you, yes, I know, right?
I have found that I can, like, physically, I can shift. I learned this when I was in college from a person. There's this day that triggered. I was just walking slowly, shuffling along, actually, with no, just going to max class with it. And this one girl comes, she says, you've got to walk with intent. Like, no matter where you're going, go there with purpose. I thought, oh, okay, I'll walk with purpose. And I found that if I started doing things physically, it would trigger a mental thing. And so I started walking with purpose, and it became a habit. And it became identified that that became, like, in my mind, I always have a purpose. I'm going someplace for a reason. I'm just not aimless. And so that trigger, if I was ever feeling down or something, if I start walking someplace with purpose, it changes everything. Because I guess I'm getting back in line with what my core belief is. Like, I'm actually physically reminding my body, because I changed my posture intentionally, that this, like, if I'm feeling a bit beat up or I'm a bit tired, I'm kind of going, oh, it's like a low ebb. And I go, no, okay, this feels better. Like, does that help structure or support your confidence points?
Well, this is the thing, like acting on it, the physical stuff. There are times when we have those low days and we're having trouble remembering all the evidence that says, yes, this is who I am. And I've always been I'm on track with this. You know, we have trouble, maybe you're tired or something like that. The physical, bringing in physical, like we can come in at any of those levels, the cognitive, the emotional, the physical, or the community. Other people can really help with that one. Like the person saying, hey, walk with confidence, right? Oh, yes, right. Okay, I'll do that, right? Yeah. Then you do that, and the physical can make a huge difference. One of the exercises I like to do with people is a manipulation of emotion, where we sit in a slump with our heads down, and we think of something sad.
Back at home. There you go.
That makes you feel very sad. And then you kind of measure, I like my scale of 0 to 10, how sad are you? And then what you do is you stand up, put your feet wide,
right,
arms out, look up. Yeah, how sad do you feel? So
yeah,
there's a double lesson in that. One is that you can actually manipulate your emotions, and when you do that, they're not as intense as when they're not manipulated.
Right.
And two is doing something physically that doesn't fit makes a difference. It changes how you feel. So if you act confident by walking with purpose, with your shoulders up, chin up, by speaking with purpose, slowing it down, speaking very clearly, making eye contact, these things that look like confidence, you will begin to feel that confidence. It's different. It's another way in than the knowing who I am and being solid in that. But it certainly can improve our feeling of confidence in any given situation.
So can you create triggers? I remember way back in, I think, so many sales courses and motivational courses, and they'd have what was a lock-in. There's a couple of stuff they do that where they just like lock something, they clap, or you start this. And there's people that before they go into a presentation of some sort, they would do a small ritual that would physically remind their body that they're a winner, that this is going to work, that they're prepared. and they just kind of go through this little trigger aspect of it. And again, their whole body takes into it, but the trigger seems to be deeper. It's like an emotional connection as well. There's imagery in their head. Done properly, there's a lot of stuff that's happening. There's a vision of what the success is going to look like. There's a physical change in your body. There's an intellectual, I can do this, I'm prepared thing happening. Is that real when you do that? Does it actually alter your confidence point? Or is it a placebo that you just...
Does it work?
Does.
That's always my bottom line is, does it work?
Does it work?
Working? Feel better. But here's the thing, that's a different kind of confidence.
Okay.
Right? Like, so there's different levels of that confidence, and some of it is more shakable than others. And so we want all of them.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with actually having the confidence that is put on by taking action that looks confident, so that you can build a little bit of that external confidence. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's very helpful. And if you are speaking, or you are presenting or anything like that, it really helps to have that. It makes you more effective, which, guess what, leads to experience, which is evidence that you are capable, that now you actually have some belief about it. And once you believe it, and you can bring in some of those thoughts and those images and those emotions and all the things you're talking about with that, then that is at a deeper level, because it's incorporating more of our thoughts, our feelings, our bodies, right? We want to incorporate more of that. All of these things are the evidence that show us who we are, which is really where the solid confidence is. Yeah. And the same thing I actually do real quick, because we should take questions if we're going to do it, because I only have 10 minutes left here. But the other thing I do want to say about that is that our partners are really good at that. Because our partners can get in way past anything that's fake confidence or put on confidence. They can get right. Right? So you know that if your partner isn't shaking it, that's solid confidence. So your partner can help you with kind of testing it. It's like a Jenga. Your partner's going to take part of it out and see if it still stands.
The partners are, I guess, the mirror of people. Is a pretty powerful aspect, because you're functioning in the world, and that's your feedback. That people are following me. People pause when I express my opinion, or they come looking for, as with you, they come looking for your opinion. I can relate to being in the room full of bright people. I early on, without realizing, I want to follow the people who are brilliant photographers, and I got active in the committees and so on. So I wound up often being in these circles of photographers who were mind blowing. Like their knowledge of their craft was just so deep and so stunning. And of course, my craft has been self-taught. So I have these areas of complete brilliance, and then I have areas of complete stupidity where I had not pursued into it. So like you, most of the time I'm looking around at the people I'm hanging with going, oh my God, I'm such a low guy in the totem pole. It's like, these guys are so, and your brain does tend to forget where you are, that you're at this peak. You hit this plateau, but you look around going, oh my God, I'm in such rarefied group here. And I guess it helps I go out to teach. And I keep on remembering when I'm teaching people that there was a point when I was asking the same inexperienced questions. I don't want to say stupid, but inexperienced questions. That my teacher at the time was equally gentle with guiding me down the path. And so I try to, and that reminds me in some cases how far I've come, because I look back and I'll stumble into some piece of complete void of knowledge and take it up from there. So it's really kind of fascinating. That's cool. I'm going to wrap it up here, because I think we're coming at the end of our time. I know you got an appointment kind of coming into it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It has been really, really kind of neat. It's cool. When I first started this, I thought what we're going to go to is like, okay, here's 5 things. Do these 5 things. It's really good. And I guess that's kind of a surface expectation, but this has been much deeper. This, I think, is skills that when a person masters and continually works on these skills, they wind up with a deeper reservoir of confidence, like a much more solid thing that they can take further, rather than here's 5 quick fixes. So this has been really kind of a fascinating type of thing. We've been speaking with Dr. Bonnie Sullivan. She's with the Family Psychologist Place. If you're on Facebook, please go there. You'll see her address webpage. You can kind of book in and get more of her help on a one-to-one basis. And she's good, by the way. I was looking for my why, and I struggled. Now, most people, when they do the whole why, that's a big popular thing these days, but they're like 25 and 30, and so they just got to go back like a decade and they can find their why. and I'm 65, right? So my why, if it was there, goes back. And as we dug into it in the hour she spent with me and some friends and so on, discovered I don't have so much have a why as I have a guide thing about me where I step in and guide people through. So I'll send you we had the writer break that back down. So it'd be kind of cool. But I'd love to thank you so much for coming on the second time, taking time out from a day that is really busy. Even though you're at home, it doesn't feel as busy. It is, but I'm sure it's busy. You've got the girls. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark. Always a pleasure.